Hello there, old friends.
Hiya.
This is Mad Notions.
Oh,
Welcome.
wait, is this just for audio or is this radio? Radio. Video.
Both.
Both. Okay.
Both.
Just need to know. Put the face on. Let's do it.
Okay.
Hello.
Hello, friends. Welcome to Mad Notions. This is Mick.
And that's Nathan.
You may know that already, or you may not. Let's not get caught in the weeds.
Yeah, we've beats to hit here.
We've beats to hit. Just for people listening on audio, just so you know, you can watch all these episodes now free on YouTube since we started. I think it was around the mark of 150. Episode 150.
I think it was. Yeah.
We have been videoing all the episodes, and they're all now available to watch for free on our YouTube channel, which is the first line in the description. There's a link to click here, and you can do that now.
Yeah.
At the start of every episode.
And
so if you prefer to watch it,
if you want to get in touch, you can get in touch with us at madnotionspodcast@gmail.com.
Yes.
Send us anything. Well, not within reason.
Yeah.
You know.
Or just put a wee tag, just so we know what we're getting it done anyway. Yeah. Regardless, you know what I mean.
We like to hear from you. Tweet us.
Absolute.
Mad Notions podcast, I think, as well.
Mad Notions Pod.
Possibly.
They're all linked in the description of every episode and in the description of every YouTube video as well.
You can join the Facebook group.
Please do that.
If you want to just take the hand out of me, that seems to be the place where people do it.
Yeah, sometimes I'll maybe now on a weekly basis I just share a picture and go, doesn't this look a bit like Mick? And then we all get a good laugh, and Mick says great push on the socials, and then I make a poor attempt at a sports reference. And but there's other things too.
Right, let's not get caught in the weeds.
And also for us, most importantly, you can join our Patreon if anybody hasn't already, which is most of you, it seems. But there's no tiers. Only the tears we shed when you don't join.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you can sign up for any amount of money. And for that you get so far nothing. But we will work on that.
We're really reluctant to introduce hierarchies as what.
Yes. So we're generally just working on a kind of a soundness basis at the minute. But so that's a thing as well. And
the money for that is going towards improving the set and a number of other things.
Yeah. In fact, we will record another one of these, which will become the staple one that we will use at the start of every episode, which will feature our brand new class neon logo, which was made by
George Coburn.
And I've only seen a picture of it so far, but we're picking up very soon. And things like that is where your money goes. It bought these microphones. Might have had a say in this.
No,
it didn't. Someone gave that to us for free. I was just trying to look at other things. These lights that you can't see.
Given this for free as well.
These lights weren't given to us for free.
They were, yeah.
We bought these.
No, we didn't.
Yes, we did.
Oh, we did we?
Yes.
Okay.
I have the Amazon receipt to prove it.
Right, okay, fair enough.
That's where your money goes. We do buy things with the money. But yes, anyway, thank you very much for checking out the episode on YouTube. If you have, it takes fucking ages to do it. And it really, really breaks my heart when only 4 of you watch it. So for the 4 of you that are, you're my heroes. Enjoy the episode, and don't forget to check out all the links in the description if you want to follow us or get in touch or any of those great things. Thank you very much. Make any final thoughts?
No.
Okay.
What can I say? Improv comes naturally to me.
Yes, and
no, but nobody ever talks about that in Improv 101.
Turn the whole thing on its head.
The fabled no but, where you just stick and twist. The first improv guy's like, "We're in space. How do you?" I was trying to think of a way to set up a yes and, but I couldn't even do that.
Space is cool, isn't it?
No, but I really can't wait to get home to planet Earth. Boom, that's improv.
Improv. Enjoy the show. Nice and tidy like we planned. Why can't we do anything right?
4 years, Nathan. 4 years we've been doing this.
We only just thought to record a bit to promote ourselves. Fair play to us.
I think it's a bad idea to do one uniform one.
You think?
Yeah, I think.
Are we leaving all this in that section?
Yeah, assimilate it into the content. You know, give
Okay.
them something new every week.
Okay.
Find interesting ways
Well-
find more interesting ways each week to beg for money.
I mean,
See if what really pisses you off. It comes to Thursday and we don't have a podcast out. You've only yourself to blame if you're not coughing up. Doctors,
yeah. I mean, one way of looking
solicitors
at that,
as
though,
well.
is that
Found out we have a solicitors listen as well. I know that because I.
we received a very threatening letter.
You just need to be better, crack.
You're due in court on Thursday. Can you imagine having to go to court and be like, I don't know, have you got nothing else to do? I heard a bus burnt last week. Well, I guess the way that this has just ambled on into not a tidy section at all has really scuppered my plan to create a nice, tidy, usable. I love how Mick was just like, I think it's a bad idea, and not considering my reason for wanting to do it, which is that we should do it, and it would also save me a bit of work every week. But I'll just go for it.
Well, I mean, if we make it a concerted effort to do it at the top of the show, see,
We've said that before.
I know. Well, we just need to fucking.
We said that before.
Can we go bowling then?
We've said that before. But yes. Anyway,
I was about to say I'm just going to organize it, but I've also said that
you've
before.
said that before. We can't be trusted. Yes. Where were we?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle.
You were standing outside Whelan's.
Cursing the bunsers. But yeah. Anyway, that was good crack. If you want to hear about that, go to last week's episode. That's where I ranted for too long. We'll be honest. But yes, on the whole, a lovely experience. It was great to play those venues. The crew were fucking really sound lads as well. All the people that were kind of doing all the sound and monitors and that sort of stuff. I met some heads from MCD, which was cool as well. Very nice folks. One of them said at the end, he was like, I was really glad he didn't watch the first show. I remember going back up the stairs after having a terrible first show and being like, I hope he wasn't in the fucking like. Do you know? So when you're doing support slots, sometimes my thing. I'll use my I statements. When I do a support slot, I obviously want to make a good impression on the audience. But like similar with like when I'm releasing music or whatever, I obviously want people who follow my music and potential people who may follow my music to enjoy it. But there are like people that it means more to you in the moment sometimes if you get their approval. And I find that with like releasing music, but I also find that like, so for like a support slot, I always, any of the ones I've ever done, and do you know who's really fucking, what's the word? Like very generous with this is Duke Special. He'll always make a point of watching a few of the songs. And like, I remember doing a gig up in the Atlantic bar up in Portrush or something a couple of years ago. And on the way back, like he had a load of like notes for me, which I found really useful and constructive, and I really appreciated it. But it's nice to feel like, and they don't need to do this at all, like the people you're supporting, but like when they've taken the time to like appreciate, I was in this position before as well, and to just like offer you some advice, it's class. So when you get like a kind of a nice word from those people. That's always a kind of a feel good moment. And then obviously for a gig like that's being put on by like, you know, one of the biggest promoters in all of Ireland, like you would like to kind of have left them with a good impression as well. And so like if they say something after, you're kind of hoping that it was one of the better moments that they saw. So I remember walking back up the stairs after the first one when I was ready to just throw my guitar across the fucking dressing room when I got back into it. And he was still in the office. And I was like, thank God. That was not the one I wanted him to see.
Just like, you down there? No? Oh, thank God. Fuck.
But in
it was
the real,
class.
but in the real showbiz way, it was like, yeah, I caught a bit of it, man. It was great. The way the pin drop silence, well done. You're like, he didn't hear it. So yeah, anyway, and then he was at the Ulster Hall gig as well. Really nice as well, actually. He was a lovely fella. He was actually a judge on that 2FM competition that I did in my band in school.
No way.
Yeah, which was mad because I remember.
It's Nathan from the Truffle Shuffles.
You're welcome. But then after the last night in the Olympia, he had been up in there's like a couple of like VIP boxes off to the right, and he'd been in one of them and he watched all of it, and then he came down to me after and was like, that was a fucking great show, man, well done. And he was like, and he goes, oh, you better be careful. He was like, because I beat the shit out of you. No, he didn't. He said you better be careful because he was like, like a kind of a solo person with a guitar, who can do a good job, is like a really handy number to have when you need a support slot. And I was like, hey, call my bluff.
Yeah.
If you can give me 2 hours notice, I'll be anywhere you need to be. Even America in 2 hours, I'll do it. I know you don't book gigs there, but I will make it. So that was nice. And then, before the other shit that I mentioned last week happened, at the end of the night, I had a great time. So that was cool. And then, yeah, just been fucking gigging, really, like flat out.
Yeah.
Yeah, really, really big. I started a new residency in the Jeggy Nettle up in Stranmillis, and managed to talk the manager into letting me do it with Maddie and Gareth on bass.
Here, tell me this.
Yes.
Will Songbook be returning?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's in the diary.
It's in the diary.
It's in the diary.
Too early to talk about?
Nope. Well, I don't have all the guests booked yet, so I won't name them. But it's on the 14th of December in the Ulster Sports Club. By the time this comes out, it'll be announced and fully scheduled.
Cool.
So yeah, we're going to be. There'll be tickets for it, which is a new thing going forward. It was actually a thing that we had meant to do in like the next one before the pandemic happened, and then the pandemic happened, and we were like, well, we'll fucking table that for a while. But yeah, so that's going to be a thing going forward as well, because I'm sick of doing a really cool thing on a shoestring budget and people getting it for fucking free and just being like, isn't it cool that we get to do this thing for free? It is cool you get to do it for free, but it would also be cool if I could pay the sound man well for doing a really great job. And after like 18 months of people not having any work, it really put it into perspective. Like there was a bit of like hemming and hawing about like whether or not we should do it and would people go for it, whatever.
It's one pint.
And I've kind of,
I'm assuming.
well, it's about 4 points. But I have gotten to the point now, I think, where I have decided that, do you know what? Honestly, if you've been to Songbook ever and you get to the door and decide that the whatever amount of money we decide is going to be on the door, which will not be extortionate, is too much and you don't think it's worth it, I don't fucking want you there anyway. So
fine.
So go.
I won't go.
So go fuck yourself. Because actually, I like, especially after putting on that Christmas one last year and all the work that went into it, and everyone did such a fucking great job. It was just like, these lads are too sound to tell me to go fuck myself. And obviously, sometimes, when you're doing the kind of week to week working musician stuff where you're playing weddings and cover gigs and all that shit, whatever, I can understand that, like, getting offered like a nice regular monthly thing where you get to play original music and it's good standard and it's well looked after. And I'm sure that has its own appeal when the offer is being made to you. And the lads aren't doing it for free by any means, but it's like they're still not getting paid anywhere near what they should be getting paid. I've also never had a budget to pay guests before, which is something that's always really annoyed me because, like, again, everyone's always been really sound about it, but like, I think if you're going to come all the way up from fucking somewhere down south, like, the least I could give you is a couple of fucking quid for for your trouble, like, because I know that I only book people that are really good, and I know it'll be worth your money. So it's like, there it is, guys. That's the crack. That chat with Joe Dugan that we had that time, like, really left an impression on me where it's just like, he's completely right. Like, what the fuck am I putting on a free gig for? Like, so yeah, so that's happening. We do have one guest booked for it, who has been, he was never booked for it, but he turned up and got up and did a few songs at it before. And that's all I'll say right now. But he was fucking unreal. And then he randomly messaged me and was like, I'm going to be in Ireland for these few dates, these dates in December. He was like, if Songbook's happening again, I would love to come and do it. And I was like, thank you for doing my job for me.
Class.
You fucking legend. So that was cool. Sorry, I just wanted to give a shout out to that gig because it's a cool one. Jeggy Nettle every Thursday. They've given your man's actually really. He's kind of followed through on that thing that sometimes bar managers say, where they're like, "Oh, we want you to do your thing," and then you do it, and then people in the bar
Not like that.
and they're like, "Not your thing, but like your thing." You
I
know?
want to hear your version of Wagon Wheel.
Yes.
What key do you do?
D major. Wow. So yeah, it's we're doing it like bare bones. Like Maddie plays brushes, and on like just kind of a small kit setup, and then Gareth plays double bass, and I play either acoustic or electric, depending on how I feel that night. But it's been fucking really nice, man. It's actually like it's a really nice gig, and like,
Class.
people are really nice in that bar. Not to say that they're not nice in the other bars they play in, but
You have said that
I think
several times.
That is true. I'm on record actually for years. I don't know if it's just because the part of town is in or whatever, but people seem to be more up for just allowing
the vibe.
songs that they don't necessarily know all the time to happen and appreciate them, which has been lovely. So that's been nice. But yeah, other than that, all good. What about you?
Not much.
Good. So all you people who are always saying Enzo's talking too much, just so you know. He's joking. He has crack, I'm sure of it.
I don't really have a lot of crack, but it.
I have more. Like I'm going to let you talk for a bit.
No, like I'm trying to think what my crack is. I'm deep into the writing of this sketch pilot, which is a lot of fun because I just get to write. It was fun because we did it for a year remotely, just for our own crack, and so when we were making it, we weren't making it with any goal in mind. So the fact that it, one, got the interest of a producer, and two, then got a commission, and the commissioner, their feedback from it was like, oh, they really got it. They loved all the things they loved about it were the stuff that really made us laugh, you know. And we got an exec producer on board who also, she's worked with loads of like comedians that, you know, Radio 4 is like the starting ground. Like you start off Radio 4, that's where like fucking Chris Morris, Steve Coogan, all them ones, Mighty Bush, I think League of Gentlemen might even started off in Radio 4. But so she might not have been on those ones specifically, but this exec producer,
A good track record.
yeah, and she came back with feedback and really liked it.
Class.
So it's been fun just to, cool, get to write loads more and see what's working, record loads, and then we'll trim it down and pitch it again.
And how far down the line of recording are you?
Early in the new year, the recording will start. We've got some
right, okay. You're still just
amazing
writing
fucking comedians. Fuck, talk about a lot of amazing Irish music. There's so much good Irish comedy as well.
Yeah, man.
Like you see it if you go on Twitter, the amount of really fucking funny Irish comedians just plying their wares on Twitter
Absolutely
is really good. And I'm seeing, like, I seen RTE had like on the RTE player had a couple of like a sketch show commissioned by two guys that I had seen on Twitter originally, just kind of doing their own sketches, and then got commissioned by RTE. So it's heartening to see that.
Yeah.
And we've got a couple of ones that I've really liked for a while who are really fucking funny and interesting. So it'll be exciting to see. So we have signed them on to do a small bit of writing and then be on hand for performances as well. So
Class.
that'll be exciting. But yeah,
Do you think there's a difference in the style of what generally gets made on RTE versus in Northern Ireland?
No, it's the same. I would imagine it's the same sort of safe options.
Sure.
Now, in saying that, the ones that I'm talking about there, the RT players, one of the guys called Darren Conway. He's a dub guy. And I haven't actually seen the sketch show that they've written, but I've seen some of his stuff, and it's low enough, kind of low key enough.
Yeah.
Sort of, it's not paddywhackery, which I find often a lot of the times is what.
Such a go-to.
Yeah, it's a default thing for channels here, and I don't know. I think it probably comes from like a post-colonial mindset where your first instinct is always to kind of poke fun at yourself or at the nation as a whole. Do you know what I mean? And it feels so hack at times, you know.
Yeah, it can do for sure.
So I think that was one of the things we said in the brief was like try and avoid paddywhackery where possible.
Yeah. This is what we're like.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
you know you're Irish when
Yeah,
that
yeah,
sort
yeah.
of nonsense, and which now to be fair, there is some shit that I've seen on RT that kind of toes that line, which it's still funny, but it's not what I want to be writing, and it's not what's this is me and Philly's project, and it's not what like makes him laugh either. And,
Yeah.
like, the goal is trying to keep it true to what initially it makes you laugh, but also you want to give yourself a shot as well. So that's the thing about people are always talking about, oh fucking to get on BBC and you have to be like this, or to get on RT you have to be like this. And I just want to do what I want to do, and should that not be good enough? But it's so much of like writing is a compromise, because like you might write a script and you're the only person seeing it. Is like, to get this to the audience, it's completely different journey to music. There's so much more. I don't want to describe them as hoops you have to jump on. You have to collaborate a lot more, and you do have to concede a bit of ground. And it's usually for the better. Like, things can always be shorter.
Yeah.
Especially when it comes to writing, like, and that can be a really hard thing to get over. You're like, you want me to cut that line?
Yeah.
The whole fucking thing hinges on that line, and it's like one like kind of unwritten rules of writing is kill your darlings.
Yeah.
And that can mean like, it can just mean like, yeah, this sketch is really funny. Does it fit into the rest of the show? It might be a really, really funny standalone idea, but if you're trying to create a tone.
But isn't that the kind of the glory of sketch shows, that everything is standalone? And I know. Well,
actually,
you did say
you know
last
what?
week.
The producer that we're working with at the moment, he made a good point. He's like, a good rule of thumb is like, how clear is the joke?
Sure.
And how could this be in any other sketch show? And if it could be in any other sketch show, why is it in this one? So, yeah, and he's like, and if it could be in any other sketch show, think of a way of doing it.
That even in itself is quite a hard metric, surely, to follow, though, because like, what? So the goal of that is like, is what I'm trying to.
I guess it's
wrap
like
my head around that bit.
it's about the character of your own creation. Like, it's like, if it could be on any other sketch show, it's probably not the most original
Okay,
idea.
so sorry. So it's kind of like a way of saying that it needs to feel uniquely.
You.
Okay. Sorry. I get you. Sorry.
So it's finding that balance of making sure you're true to yourself, but also fucking.
Yeah, like you're not trying to do like a thing you've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Sorry. I understand.
A good way, like he sent us a pilot, a Radio 4 sketch pilot. He goes, "This is really bad. This particular one, or it's not. He didn't say it's really bad. It's like, this one I didn't really like."
And who was it by?
But he was like, "It's a good. Listen to how clear even though the sketches mightn't be very good. Listen to how clear the setup and the premise and the idea is. That's what That's what you need to be hitting. So you kind of need to."
That's a tough one as well.
It is.
Surely,
It's really tough.
If the setup to that conversation is we're not going to use this and we don't like it.
Yeah. I mean, like, there's this thing me and Philly wrote, and it was, we three of us were in tears laughing at it.
Yeah.
And we sent it to him, and he was like, what's the joke? What is this? Is the joke this? And we were like, yeah. And I'm like, but what is that a joke? Or is it just, is it can be funny, but still not be a joke. But it's only funny to us because, like, we're making each other laugh in the room.
Sure.
And you kind of get caught up in the moment of it. And then, like, when it's hard to take notes. Fucking note, like, I kind of pride myself on being able to take notes and being able to kind of accept the criticism and stuff. But it's tough, and you do end up, sometimes you push back a wee bit and you're like, all right, well.
You should, though, because that's their job to come back at you, and it's your job to come back, surely, at them.
Yeah, no, you fight for what you believe in, but I fought, and I just right on your forehead there.
Did you?
No, but I did see a little projectile saliva there.
Right. You owe me a few.
Any of the time,
I wonder if I can track it with the cameras. Just
bullet time. Any of the time, like, anything I fought for and it didn't make the cut, usually then, in hindsight, when I hear the final product, I'm like, you were right. Yeah, I killed my darling and you were right, you know.
Yeah.
So it's an exercise in humility a lot of the time as well. But
do you think, on a broader sense, do you think that the people who work in any creative industry as the go-between between you and the audience, essentially. Like they're like I want to say the block, but they're like the, you know, like the quality control. Say so for like music, it's obviously like a record label or like an A&R, and then for your, for instance, like the sketch pilot stuff that you're doing, it's like the producer or whoever basically you email the idea to, and they go, here's your notes. Do you think that how do I phrase this? Should they be people who also are, so in that instance, like a comedy writer, or in music, should they be musicians themselves? Or do you think that there's an advantage to someone who is watching something purely as I have no idea how this works, but I know what I like,
It's funny you should bring that up. I definitely mentioned it on this podcast before. There's an interview with Frank Zappa.
This is exactly what I was thinking about when I was asking that question.
Yeah. The mediators were like in the 60s, the mediators were the guys in the suits who was like, I don't know, the kids like it.
Yeah.
Let's fire money at it and see what happens, you know? And that, I said, like, the death of creativity was when those kids grew up and then became the cool hip execs who saw themselves as arbiters of taste.
They hung around making coffee for the execs long enough that they became the execs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now they're the cool guys with the arbiters of taste. That's not what the kids want to hear. It's like, no, you don't know. But I think for writing and comedy, it's definitely less instinctive or intuitive than music, or less like music is immediate, and it's kind of it blow open your mind, like,
sure.
Whereas comedy is formulaic. There's a very, like, comedy is so dependent on structure and setup and execution that it's a wee bit more, if you have somebody who's experienced in it before, and like maybe as a writer or producer, it's definitely a benefit.
Yeah.
Whereas I think music's completely different like that. It's I think music, you should be given a little bit of free rein to,
because I think with music, like, I feel like I will respect someone's opinion more based on, and not necessarily if they're like a musician themselves or like play themselves, but like, I'm trying to think of even like an example that people like, so like Ralph McLean or like Joe Lindsay is a good example of someone that we both know that like doesn't play music himself, like an instrument or like sing or whatever, but I would consider him to have like a great taste in music.
Yeah.
And so like I feel like he'd be...
He's a DJ, so he's going to be a music enthusiast.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so I would not that I've ever, and maybe I should, but you know, like I would consider him like a reliable like listening post. Say if I was to be like, hey, I'm working on this, what do you think of this? Because I know that I like his taste in music, if you know what I mean. But because like conversely, it was funny. I was having a conversation today where there was just like a chat about like a kind of an industry sort of a thing, and there was like a note came back. It was nothing to do with me, but and it's like there's like a kind of an expectation sometimes where you're like on the outside looking in, you think like, say like an A&R or like a manager of a big artist must surely know what they're talking about, but like sometimes you can tell that the what's the word, that the not the incentive, the reason behind the notes often, even in my own experiences with Universal years ago, like I found sometimes that the reason behind the note sometimes was so that the A&R could say I was the one who said that should happen. Because like, so like there was one person who said that they worked on like this famous single, I remember, and all they ever wanted to tell me was like they were the reason that line was there, or they were the reason that melody was that, and that was all they wanted me really to know. It wasn't that like I helped sign this person, it was that they're as good as they are because of me, sort of thing. And like, and then, you know, something might like on the flip side, something might fail, and they'd say, well, I told them they should have done this or whatever, and you kind of go like, that's why like sometimes like, and you're right, like with music it's definitely easier to kind of be like, maybe we should just let the musicians kind of do what comes naturally to them, and maybe not rely on like the industry people in the middle. But it's a very long-winded way of asking, do you feel, obviously you've been working with the producers like long enough probably to get like a gauge of like what they find funny outside of your work together. Like, do you feel it's more of an advantage that you find the same things funny, or do you feel that that's almost like a trap if you do have the same sense of humor, because maybe all bases aren't being covered then?
I think like I'm confident enough in my own writing, and I was like, I know that I'm good at writing, and I know that, well, I think this is funny.
Yeah.
And like I could write it this 10 different ways, and I'll find 10 different ways to make funny. I'm not looking for someone to tell me that's funny or that's not funny. I'm looking for just notes on like,
is it clear or something?
Is it clear? Is it like, is the world there? Is it like, who is this for? How are you trying, like, how do we pitch this? That's the sort of stuff that is invaluable.
Yeah. Okay. It's really interesting. So sometimes I think when I'm asking the questions, it sounds like I'm like fucking trying to say something bad, but I'm just
no. I mean, I'm fucking learning every day. Like,
it's mad. There's always like similarities between industries
Yeah.
in the creative field, but then there's like places where they're just so different, and it's like it's so because sometimes you're like, well, maybe we could use a bit of that in music or whatever. You know what I mean? But it's like trying to figure out the intricacies of the.
My cousin Lisa, who I've kind of reconnected with over the last while, Lisa and her sister Jenny and her sister Ashlyn would have been at my house every morning before school and every afternoon after school for their dinner, because their mum and dad both worked in Belfast.
Oh, wow.
So growing up, Lisa was always there just for
Part of
years.
the family.
And then like obviously you get older, she went to America. She was an amazing footballer, so she was on football scholarships over in America for years. But I didn't know this. At the time she was getting in, she always loved movies and stuff and wanted to get into that side of not writing. But she worked for years she's worked for in all different roles as like assistant producer, assistant to the producer.
Yeah.
Like from assistant producer all the way down to assistant to the producer. And she has given me like an amazing insight. Like I've been sending her loads of stuff, and she's really keen to get her own stuff going and help each other. But her insight's been really fascinating because she has worked in all the different roles. She has a perspective on what works where, what they're actually looking for, how to pitch things to them. It's so much of it is how to pitch the idea. That's one thing. I got an email from a production company there during the week asking did I want to submit something or did I want to meet up and talk about ideas to submit to this thing. And I was like, yep, definitely. And they came back to me, was like, how's Friday? And I was like, oh, do you know what? Can we push it the next week so I can send you something in advance? Because I am still not able to pitch, like a cold pitch. I've written a screenplay there. I wrote it in 4 weeks. I sat down. I'm really happy with it. I think it's a really strong idea. And I think it's to me, I think it could, I think people would be interested in it, if I could get it to the right people. But see, if you ask me now what it's about,
you'd like
I would make such a fucking ball ache of trying to explain to you what it is, because it's a skill in itself.
Yeah.
The way applying for funding is a skill in itself.
Can I ask, a quick side note to that? See, when you're pitching an idea and say they haven't seen it yet, is spoilers a thing?
No.
You give them the ending, like?
No, you give them the log line is the elevator pitch.
Okay. Right.
Which is like,
Yeah.
Nathan, a down on his luck musician, loses all his work in the pandemic just as he finds out his partner Margaret is pregnant with their child, and he has to.
Is this about me?
Well, this is the screenplay that I've been working on.
Okay.
Which actually, I was writing that all before I'd even found out the news, which makes me think I might be God.
I'm a seer.
So you're trying to pitch it like that, you know, like it's the pitch documents are.
And did you have that meeting? Sorry, like
no, that was like yesterday. That
sorry. Okay.
Yeah. So,
sorry.
Fucking pitch materials are the worst. It's so fucking like you have to you do a log line, which is like the elevator pitch. You try and get you try and sell your story in 2 lines, and then you give it like a kind of treatment or synopsis character breakdown, potential, if it's a sitcom or like a series, potential fucking storylines. That's a huge amount of work that a lot of the times you won't get paid for. Like it depending on the deal or the relationship.
There's some amazing. I mean, I'm trying to think of like a good example. I mean, there's probably a million where you'd be like the best movie you've ever seen. You're like, but if I was to try and sell it to you in 2 lines, it would sound. I can't imagine anything sounding remarkable in 30 seconds.
A lot of those kind of pitches and like, oh, you get your idea across in 2 lines is really like it's dependent on the notion that every film, structure wise and story wise, is the same. Now they are, broadly speaking, like every fucking writer, even anybody who has an interest in writing, has heard of Dan Harmon's Story Circle or the Blake Snyder's Save the Cat. You can really apply these. We've chatted before. You can apply these to any sort of story, and broadly speaking, if it's a satisfying story, it will follow that arc. But it leaves no room for any sort of abstraction or artistry that you might be envisioning. You know, and it leaves scarce room for the protagonist may not follow this exact journey. It mightn't be that sort of film. It gets really hard to fucking pitch that then. So then you get into trying to like sample actual film and sample scenes and stuff like that. It's all such a fucking You know, I'm still figuring it out.
That show AP Bio.
Glenn Howerton.
Yeah,
I watched the pilot of that.
It's a great show.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
You've reminded me just of one of my favorite jokes in it, where he's on a date with his girlfriend, just in the house. They're having movie night, and she's like, "I've got, I can't remember the first one. I've got like Terminator 3 and John Wick 2." She's like, "Which one do you want?" And he goes, I haven't seen John Wick 1. Will that impact my enjoyment of the movie or whatever? And she goes, do you know how guns work? and he goes, yeah. And he goes, you'll be fine. You're all set.
Funny, I was hanging out with Tony the other night, and we were just shooting the shit. TV was on, and 21 Jump Street was on, and we were just laughing. I was like, that is the definition of formulaic nonsense. But we were enjoying it and laughing. I was like, but we're calling the beats.
Yeah.
Like
there's a place for those, even if you can't see what's coming. Yeah.
And it's such a dumb movie.
I know. Sometimes those are like
it was good fun to watch.
Yeah.
Like not everything has to take itself so seriously, and I think you can have big dumb movies that can be enjoyable.
Like I watched that. I was telling you before we started recording earlier. I watched that new Netflix movie with The Rock in it, and Ryan Reynolds and Gal Gadot. Red Notice. Mark wanted to watch it last night. It was terrible, but it was enjoyable in the same way too. Like it was like, you know, a couple of Ryan Reynolds being Deadpool without a mask on, and
Ryan Reynolds being Ryan Reynolds.
Yeah, and the Ryan Reynolds starring plays himself in like he does and everything. And then, you know, there's the what the fuck was that? There's the has to happen every movie he's in, you know, various references to the size of the Rock, you know, just like there's a scene where he has to wear it's like a big fucking millionaire's mansion where there's like criminals and stuff, and so he wears like a mask, like there's a name for those, like masquerade ball sort of mask.
Yeah.
And you know, there's a bit where like he walks up to the person and she's like, you know, I barely recognized you, you know, all this kind of shit. There's like all that shit that is like in every fucking movie he's in, and you're just like,
it's written into the contract.
Yeah.
A character must, anytime the Rock comes into the room, someone has to say, wow, look at the size of that fucker. He must work out. The Rock's really insecure.
Do my arms look big in this? Yeah.
I think probably brought this up before as well. Have you ever watched Two Guys, a Girl in a Pizza Place?
Yes. Yeah.
Ryan Reynolds' kind of breakout role.
Roles, yeah.
I remember watching that as a kid, and I remember thinking, it was a good sitcom. It was very funny, but he was undeniably a star.
Yeah,
like a comedy star from the get go. Like he was like, he kind of had.
I couldn't tell you who else was in it.
He had like Matthew Perry as Chandler energy, but like a really handsome leading man. Not saying Matthew Perry's not good looking, but he's not my type. But he had all that charisma and energy and comic timing from the get go. It's good. I'm happy to see him.
There's almost like a Jim Carrey sort of style of like it's the face, it's the ability to just like do that shit and just like get a laugh out of you without even fucking, like, some people just don't have that in them, like, but he strikes me like he's an always like that sort of a fella. Yeah. You know what I mean? Which I think helps. But
I suppose when you're that good looking, things do probably just come very easily to you.
Fucking women land in front of you. And free things and probably all sorts. But I remember that show as well. It was like I can't remember what fucking channel.
Then they dropped the pizza place from the title and it just was two guys and a girl for a while.
That's right. Mm-hmm. Yes, it's all coming back to me now. I'm trying to think of what other terrible sitcoms I watched when I was younger. I gave them all a shot. How I Met Your Mother, fuck off.
Never watched it.
God, I fucking stuck with that and it did not pay off at all. Just like, fuck.
How did he meet his mother? Her mother? Their mother? What?
Spoilers. I'm going to give you 3 seconds if anyone cares. Time's up.
No harm. I think if you're watching How I Met Your Mother and you're worried about spoilers while also listening to this podcast, it's like you're confused. You need to sit down and have a word with yourself.
Yeah,
like,
you should.
Pick a lane.
Basically, if I remember correctly, the mother is one of the various girls he dates throughout the course of the show, but then she dies. And then that's how he met the mother, but he's married to Kobe Smulders' character, Robin.
Sorry, I just remembered something about Matthew Perry there. You know Norm Macdonald?
Yes.
Comedian who died recently. I've been watching a lot of stuff of his on YouTube, and I seen this thing came up. It was like Norm Macdonald talking about Matthew Perry.
Oh, right.
And I was like, Matthew Perry is on SNL. It's probably with the height of Friends fame.
If I saw a headline that Norm Macdonald was after talking about me at all, I would be like, I'm not clicking on it.
But it was actually people talking about this incident. It was other comedians chatting about Norm Macdonald. And essentially, when Matthew Perry was on SNL, I think like his assistant or something was like saying to Norm like, "Oh, Matthew really wants to do this sketch with you in it, where he's like a sarcasm teacher or like he's teaching sarcasm a class how to be sarcastic." He's like, Matt has this thing. He calls it Matt speak. And so you know that thing that he did in Friends, you know, just the really fucking, you know, could I be anymore? Or that sort of sarcasm.
Sorry. I was thinking of Dr. Cox. Yeah, different characters. Sorry. Carry on. Yes. Could I be any more wrong? Sorry.
So the sketch, you can watch the sketch on YouTube. It's pretty funny because Norm Macdonald's just fucking brilliant. But he was like,
"Oh, it made it to the show." Sorry.
Yeah, but he was like, "Is Matthew Perry claiming to have invented sarcasm?"
Yeah.
And then the guys are chatting about apparently. So Harvey Weinstein obviously was a massively powerful figure in Hollywood, and one of the reasons why this is all conjecture. But it's one of the reasons why they think Norm Macdonald never really, after SNL, was a huge star, was because he got on the wrong side of Harvey Weinstein. They were at some dinner and Harvey Weinstein was talking. I think Matthew Perry is a comedy. I think Matthew Perry is a genius.
Right.
I think, and Norm Macdonald goes, "What, is he good at maths?" And then he's blacklisted.
Yeah, he I mean, it's funny. He was one of those people that like I didn't watch an awful lot of until always on my radar, of course, like from fucking, you know, being in all the various Adam Sandler movies that I watched or whatever, and you know, he'd be like a guy that would appear alongside like, you know, whatever guest on a talk show's clip on YouTube you were watching or whatever. Obviously, I'm sure he would love his. Fondly look back now and see that his career was boiled down to that. But like just some of the fucking. He seems like. I think the best way he's been described is like a real comedian's comedian. Like he's just like he was like all the comedians' favorite comedian sort of a fella, you know. But like fucking hell, did you ever watch the there's like the clip from him.
The Moth Joke?
No, the O.J. Simpson trial, no?
Oh, he got fired from SNL for refusing to stop making OJ jokes on Weekend Update.
Yeah. I mean, fucking hell, like, but or just like this fucking just so stupid but so fun. Like, remember the way he goes?
Here's a great Norm Macdonald joke. He says, "I'm on a seafood diet. If I see food, when I see food, if it's fish, I eat it."
He's got a great one where he goes, he's like, this Hitler guy, the more I read about him, the less I like him. It's just like...
Here,
fuck's sake.
have you been following the all the crack with Taylor Swift re-releasing the albums and everything?
Your fresh ears.
Man,
lay it on me.
It's fucking great. I'm a latecomer to Taylor Swift as an artist,
Yes.
and it's all down to Orla has kind of converted me. But
Give me from top to bottom this entire story. Who's Taylor Swift?
So Scooter Braun, you probably heard that name before. Essentially, I think he either was her manager. He was
from the men's grooming family dynasty. Sorry, carry on.
He owns all the rights to the recordings or whatever, and he wasn't relinquishing them.
Oh right.
And really fucking
A tale as old as
a
time.
bastard of a man. So Taylor Swift, to work around that, has started.
Like you can assume any man named Scooter is.
fair point. I think you're right there. She's now re-recording.
What do we call him? Scooter.
And I hope he respects the man in the ice cream van. One for the hard house lovers there. So Taylor Swift's now re-recording and re-releasing all her own albums, like Taylor's version. She's basically mobilized her millions of fans to make Scooter Braun's ownership of her back catalogue redundant.
Yeah, class.
Like, so Orla's been buying all the vinyls and stuff, but it means she's re-releasing albums from like 10 years ago.
Really need to support Taylor Swift.
But she's re-releasing them with like new songs or new versions of songs and stuff, or previously unreleased. But
it's just like right back to like, so this I assume is like the first few albums, like with like Love Story and all those.
Yeah, so she just released Red there now, and this is around the time when she was. I think she had a brief relationship with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Yes,
who is now probably just sitting at home last Saturday, and the phone goes, fucking getting tagged in all these notifications on Twitter for you.
Donnie Darko must be on TV3 again.
But so Taylor Swift has released like a 10-minute version of this song called "All Too Well."
Okay.
It's a great song, but like some of the lyrics are kind of like, it's so funny because like it was a song that was written maybe 10 years ago when it's all about, I think she was written when she was about 21.
Okay.
About this kind of tumultuous relationship. It doesn't directly say it's Jake Gyllenhaal, but all the Swifties have lined up the timelines, and she talks about like how he's got a scarf of hers that he kept, and she's released it with this like 10-minute short film.
Oh
no, it's good. Like it's like a music video that has a kind of a bit of a scripted part in before, middle, and after. And like, if it is like, even if it isn't Jake Gyllenhaal, I'd hate to be him right now. Like, he's going, I look like such a fucking dick here. That was 10 years ago. It was 10 years ago. And she talks about, like one of the lines is like crying, and an actor in the bathroom. She's at a party and the actor comes in the bathroom and asks her why you're crying. And I was like, is it Maggie Gyllenhaal? Who is it? But it's real. Yeah. I've been enjoying the crack, fucking watching Gyllenhaal get rinsed for a breakup from 10 years ago. And I seen someone share the next album after that. I think she had possibly been seeing John Mayer, who's probably quaking in his boots.
Yeah, he's enough reason to be quaking in his boots. I'm fucking sure of it.
He's straight on the blower going, "Hey Taylor,
we're cool, right?
We're sound, aren't we? Like, you're not gonna fucking do it. You're not gonna Jake me, are you?"
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it still blows me away when every artist, of course, writes breakup songs or whatever. And if you're going out with me, that's a safe position to put yourself in. You know what I mean? Like Nathan from fucking whatever, 10 years ago, so before I met Margaret, like anyone that went out with me, like you yous were probably sounder than me and you probably broke up with me. So that's probably why that happened. But also, you know, on a fame level, yeah, you write songs, but no one's ever going to hear that. But if you are entering into a relationship
with one
of the world's leading female pop stars of a generation,
you want to be on your best fucking behavior?
Who is renowned? Yes, who is renowned for
No, you better choose your words carefully here,
Yes.
because I have to go home to Orla.
Absolutely.
And if she gets wind of this,
Yes, no. Look, I've nothing but respect for her talent and her career, and I think she's very good at what she does. It wouldn't be for me, but like, all I was going to say is that obviously, before I should start at about D, because obviously A, B, and C she's amazing and she's great and very talented and whatever. But somewhere down there also, you'd have to concede she has a reputation for being in the press with her new boyfriend or whatever the case may be around the time of like a holding hands with a John Mayer or I can't remember all the boyfriends, but you know what I mean. John Mayer was the one that was on my radar because I'm a fan of John Mayer. And then they break up, and then that's in the news, and then a record comes out, and they're like, oh, I bet that's about that. And so, like, obviously, early on in the career, I understand that, like, oh, well, I didn't realize there was going to be a whole album written about me. You know, whoever broke up with Adele before 21 must be like, I didn't realize it was going to be such a big deal. You know, she wasn't a global star at that point, thought it was okay to break up with her. But, like, you know, say, like, post John Mayer, like, Harry Styles or whoever, is it a all press is good press sort of an approach to going out with a global pop star?
I remember thinking that when I was younger, I was like, she's just playing the game. But then I was like, how much of that is just the innate misogyny of like media and press, where you judge the person, like the woman, for she's just wheeling out this. Because she was very young when that was all happening, you know.
Yeah,
and I was like,
yeah.
I don't know.
She was very young going out with John Mayer. Sorry, carry on.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I've kind of changed my opinion on that. Possibly it could be because I'm trying to save my engagement. But it's funny because,
just to be clear, sorry, my point is just like,
if you're getting into the relationship,
you know that there's going to be like a song released about your relationship after the relationship, and she's not going to be like, oh, he was a good guy, it just didn't work out. Like that, there's no money to be made, and he was lovely, but it didn't work out. Like,
one of the great embarrassments of my life is having written and released songs about breakups.
You've said this before, yeah.
It really it bugs me. I was like, who the fuck?
First time I ever saw you play, you were supporting Paddy Freeman I think it was the first night I met you, and Orla, I believe, was in the audience.
Possibly, yeah.
And you were singing a song.
Well, it was short on material. What can I say? I had to fucking.
And I remember it was one of the funniest gig moments where I felt awkward for you because you were introducing this song and you're like, this is about a girl that I used to love, I guess, or something like. I can't remember how you set it up, but it was amazing. It was just going like, you're not even the choice to do the song, but to like set it up in the way you did. It was just like, it was so funny. I was just like, you were like, here's a song with the name of the person I used to go out with. You're like, well, I really like the song. It feels like a shame to stop doing it. It was just like.
It's just it's so obnoxious. I think it's really obnoxious.
Wait
actually, wait a second.
You okay?
Yeah. 1 second. So I'm trying to make amends.
Is this a new? Oh, this is not
No,
yours.
it's not mine. So
Sorry.
I'm trying to make amends. So
A Mad Notions exclusive.
I was like, I need to channel that embarrassment into an actual song, you know?
Okay.
So I have this wee just refrain where it's like, yeah, that song's about you and I'm sorry. I tried to hang my feelings on a line with a melody that aired our dirty laundry. flew away in the wind when I sang it out of time. So that's what I'm trying to fucking.
That's good.
Yeah, I was like, I like those. I was like, that's a better lyric than any of the other fucking breakup lyrics.
I feel like there's a couple of tunes that I really like actually that deal with almost.
Can I just say, I give myself a good old backslap when I came up with a hanging of feelings on a line, airing the dirty laundry. Ooh,
you did it, boy.
I was like,
you did it well.
Fucking brilliant.
You did it well. I can't wait to hear that. Fucking I'm fantastic. We took the night off after that one.
Also, that guitar was Louis was tuned down to a D and only realised that in the second last chord.
Don't worry, I don't think any of it was picked up by your very dynamic only picks up this bit microphone. But I'll draw it up in post after. I'll bring it up. But yeah, there's a couple of tunes. I don't think I definitely when I was younger wrote a lot of breakup songs for sure. I'm lucky that I was never in the position to release any of them, and by the time I came to releasing things, I'd already decided that I didn't want to do that. So it's not that I wouldn't have done it. It's just that in the heat of the moment sort of thing. It's just that I didn't think they were good enough, really. But if I'd have thought they were, I would have definitely done it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But there's a Blake Mills song called "Don't Tell Our Friends About Me," which is I think one of the fucking best songs ever written. But it's kind of from the other point of view of he's kind of chatting about the my partner is not a global pop star, but also will tell her mates that I'm a dickhead, sort of a thing when I'm a dickhead. That's the worst elevator pitch you've ever heard, but I would recommend it. It's worth listening. I wrote a tune that's going to be on the album. Well, so far it's sitting in contention. About I have these funny kind of thoughts sometimes where it's just looking back and in the kind of same cringe way that you were kind of talking about it, just going who the fuck did I think I was to write those songs or whatever. And it's funny. I have this thing with anybody, it doesn't matter if I went out with them or not, but just the idea that wrongly, this is the important caveat, but if they have met me and spent a lot of time in my company and have decided that I'm an arsehole, I can live with that. I think that's fine. But I get annoyed when I feel someone has the wrong impression of me and just never got to know me enough or something like that. But also looking back at friends and fucking girlfriends and just interactions I had with people when I was younger, I had this awful dread feeling of just being I was such a fucking dickhead when I was in school and and just going there's no way that is feasible and not mental to to kind of prove now to those people, and they've probably never thought about me since, you know what I mean? But it's just there's no way to go back and be I just want you to know that I'm sound now.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? And just go I know it's probably not as important to you as it is to me right now that you know that I'm sound.
Just tell me I'm sound.
I just want you to know that I know I was a dickhead, but I'm actually okay now. I realise my mistakes. But yeah, it was one of the tunes that's going on. But it's called "Turned Out Good." You can look out for it. And the title is not a comment of the song itself. It's just a lyric in the song. I don't think the song turned out good. It did turn out good. I've wrapped myself in an entire.
You turned out good, is what
I turned out good.
But
do I get to decide that? It's problematic. It's problematic.
The song is parenthesis. Will you tell me? Close parenthesis.
But yeah. I like that, man. I think you should finish that.
Yeah, I'm just trying to. I think it might be I think it might be worth going down the same sort of route we did for the Christmas song, "Any Old Moment." I think that sort of style might suit it.
Absolutely, yeah. I really like that tune.
I listened to it today because obviously what we're planning,
which will be out will be being recorded. Sorry, next week.
Yeah.
Sorry.
So yeah, we're planning a thing. So I was like, fuck, I haven't listened to that song. I was like, I'm really proud of that song. I'm really proud of how because it kind of came together very.
Yeah, it was all like kind of, like grabbing days and moments here and there, like whenever we can kind of get to it. Yeah, for sure. It was cool.
I learned so much from you that session from recording vocals, just about getting good takes. So it was very
fuck all. Yeah,
and apparently singing in time and in key.
Absolutely game changing.
Can't believe it.
Can be helpful.
I had to be convinced.
Tell that to Tom Waits though. Know what I mean? I was listening to. I stuck on Spotify the other day. I went down a binge of like wanting to learn. I was just like, I got really fucked off with like the amount of gigs I was doing, and then going like, I am playing the same songs all the fucking time. And even though I love some of these and I hate some of these, regardless of how I feel about the songs themselves, I am sick of playing them. And just like, I need to fucking learn new music. And it fucking annoys me because like, really when I get down to it, and this isn't like a brag, I mean, maybe it is a brag, it's just a statement of fact. It does not take me long to learn things. Like, I sat down the other day for like 2 hours and I learned like 4 songs. Not off by heart, like, but I can play them now, and if I have the words, basically the way I look at like learning tunes is like, I will the way I do it or have done for years at like say cover gigs. If I like kind of know it and can get the words on my phone, I'll put the words up on my phone, and then I will only play it at cover gigs, and then eventually the words will be in my head, and then I don't need the phone anymore, and I may not be playing it completely correctly, but it's like, well, it's getting the job done, and it saved me having to spend my time at home like learning how to really play some pop song that I didn't want but people keep asking for or something. But I was just like, fuck it, like I really want to like learn like the proper way to play some of these fucking tunes or whatever, like and so I for that Thursday gig I was saying about, like it's like a nice gig where I can play like songs that are actually nice. And so like one, which I think everybody should listen to, is an amazing tune that I've always wanted to learn. It's do you know Guy Clark?
No.
I'm gonna stick it on after this. It's called The Cape, but the chorus is fucking amazing. It's like, he's one of those who knows that life is just a leap of faith. So hold your breath, spread your arms, and always trust your cape. And it's just like, it's this amazing fucking story about this fucking lunatic, I guess, who's just like, thinks he can fly. And it's fucking amazing. And it's one of those tunes that like I couldn't do in the Dirty Onion, but it was like, but I went down like a Tom Waits binge, just kind of going like, I funnily like never really spend an awful lot of time listening to anything. And like, so because of that, I have massive gaps in my knowledge of people that I think a lot of times folks would expect me to know more of. And
there's
so
nothing more annoying. What do you mean you don't know?
No, I know, fucking.
But anyway,
but yes, but for exactly those reasons, it was just like, well, maybe it would be a good idea to just get a few more of those like under my belt, just to avoid those conversations, and also like, some of them are like, Neil Young or like fucking Bob Dylan, like all the ones you get asked for all the fucking time. So it's just like, I'm gonna learn a few of these, pick the ones that I like, I'll have it then, and they may not know it, but I can at least vouch for the fact that it is in fact a Bob Dylan song, and there are 500 of them, and you may not have heard them all either. So this is one. Fuck off. But so I went down a Tom Waits rabbit hole, and just like, if you go on to Spotify and just like hit, so like go, there's like there's always like the top 5 like most played or most popular or whatever. Just like hit play, and I mean, it could be 17 different people from song to song. It's like there's like, Rosie, why do you?
That's the only real Tom Waits area that I really love is like
and then there's
Closing
like,
Time.
But what's the one that I was
Saturday Night? And
yeah, there's one on that record where he's just like and it sounds like there's about 4 different vocal takes happening at once.
Do you know,
and it's amazing though. You're just like, I just love the idea. So I don't think I wanted to say it, but it's just, I can imagine being in the studio and the fucking producer is going like, is Tom coming in soon? And he just fucking saunters in, like fucking probably fag on the go or whatever. And then he's like he sounds on, I wish I could remember the fucking song now, but he sounds on that song the way I think I sound at the start of a vocal day. You know, when I'm like doing those ones where I'm like, oh, I just need to warm up. Just give me a few of these for free, and then I'll give you the usable ones. And like, but it just sounds like he just walks right in there and just goes, "That's what you're getting. This is how I sounded today."
Yeah. Yeah.
Fuck off. I was drinking whiskey last night.
On the flip side of that, Paul Simon, I was listening to some Paul Simon's back catalogue today, and I was like, that man's voice has remained angelically pristine
Yeah, man.
throughout his career. He has got such a beautifully sweet.
Yeah, he does. For sure.
And it's not like he never he never really goes full power. It's it's just beautiful. Like I love Paul Simon's songwriting because it's always a bit left field.
Yeah.
But very accessible. Lyrically, it's kind of always a little bit interesting, and he just has such a sweet voice.
Yeah, 100%, man. Yeah. There's a load of people like that I just think like Paul Simon does really well. Is like has the. You're right, like completely, like that ability to just like his performance stays here, and he lets the production do the work, and the story of the song do the work of like how you're meant to feel in that moment, and his delivery just stays, because that's a confidence you only have and you only can have when like your fucking writing is so airtight, like, you know what I mean? But I was around Garrett's house the other night, and we just ended up like sticking on in the background, just ended up like down a rabbit hole of like a load of those NPR Tiny Desk concerts or whatever. There's that fucking one that I stuck on, when Randy Newman did it, and he sings that tune, She Chose Me, and there's something just so amazing about, like, I don't know how old Randy Newman is now or how old he was when he did that, but I mean he had to be pushing at least mid-70s, I'd imagine, when this was recorded, or it's recent enough, like, and there's something so amazing about like the imperfections of his performance. Do you know what I mean? But also like he's like, but this is a great song, and it doesn't fucking matter what I sound like singing it. You know what I mean? It's like it would never get past an A&R's door now. You know what I mean? It wouldn't matter if he walked into fucking Decca or whoever the fuck is bust these days and was like, here's You've Got a Friend in Me, sang by me right now. Like, it wouldn't get past the fucking receptionist. But it's just one of the most, I think, one of the most perfect musical moments on the internet is just Randy Newman singing that tune on that NPR Tiny Desk concert. And it's the most simple, most beautiful love song. And I think just something about it being sung by a man so old, whose voice is so familiar to us because of, I mean, if you've ever been to the cinema, you've heard Randy Newman. But and the other one was, and I'm always fucking shouting on about Jackson Browne, but like Jackson Browne, kind of back to what you were saying about Paul Simon, like it was like literally what you were saying, but about Jackson Browne was the topic of conversation, where we were just saying like there is nothing particularly impressive about his vocal. But what I actually think is the most impressive thing about his vocal is the fact that when he's singing, I forget that I'm listening to a song. Because, and it was another one of those NPR Tiny Desk concerts. I cannot recommend enough going and listening to Jackson Browne doing the NPR Tiny Desk concert. It's 3 tunes, I think. The first one is one of my favourite Jackson Browne songs, called Call It Alone. And it's just like, I don't know, he's probably also like late 60s and that now or something. And another man whose like voice, even though like he is starting to look and really show the physical signs of age, and his voice is still so fucking crystal clear, man. And like, and it's something that like I aspire to, like, it's funny, like my favorite singers are like never like, I think, really well known ever for like being amazing singers. He's got a lovely tone to his voice, but like that's not what I mean. But it's just like, you know, he's not off like showing you all the notes he can do. But when the songwriting is so good, like, and a lot of my favorite, and I think a lot of your favorite like songwriters, it seems as well, like kind of seem to come from that like era when like it didn't matter if you could sing almost.
Yeah.
It was just like, how good is the song?
If you can convey character through your voice as
Yeah.
well, like, and make it sound this is unmistakably my piece of work.
Yeah.
And okay, covers might come and go, but the original thing, it's here, warts and all. Like Dylan's
Yeah.
an ultimate example. Leonard Cohen.
Yeah.
Like,
I mean, yeah, 100%.
you know?
Like, can you imagine him walking in now to fucking to Decca? Fuck you, Decca Records.
Why are you here, man? Get out behind that curtain, Dago. We know you're there.
But you know what I mean? Like, it's mad. Like, I was just thinking about like some of the stuff as I was going through it, just trying to find tunes to learn for the kind of couple of gigs that are coming up, whatever, just cover gigs, you know. But like, just to kind of keep it interesting, and it was just like thinking to myself, like, how many of these would never see the light of day if they were to be, and they're
Stopped at the door.
yeah, they would just be like, "That's cool, man." You know, they'd probably get like keep sending me stuff email. You know, like they'd be like, "Yeah, it's cool, man. Really like what you're doing. Keep sending it on." And one of these days, when you're already fucking so famous you don't need me anymore, I'll be back at your fucking door begging, pulling the arm off you to be associated with you. But yeah, there's just some fucking like, I don't know what the headline of this section is. Nathan realizes music can be amazing sometimes. But
I know we're close to the end here as well. We need to fucking put
Yeah,
a bow on this.
yeah, exactly. What's the message here?
The message here is you do you, hun. No?
We can do better. Let's spend 30 seconds
Well, we can spend longer
just
than
in
that.
silence. Just
No.
anyway. What's before? Here's what
Good
we'll do.
podcasting.
Here's what we'll do. Good podcasting, friend. That's one for the ages.